Welcome to No Prize Podcast. I am the professor. That's Johnny. And live from Baltimore Comic Con is Lucas. What's going on?
He's our Kermit the Frog. Yeah, he's our Kermit the Frog. Sesame Street News brought to you today by
the best Comic Cons of all the Comic Cons, Baltimore Convention Center, and I'm not just saying that because they give us free prizes or anything, but oh man, it's great to be back here once again, man. Speaking, but we'll see how it goes. I haven't gone to the first day. I'm going to be here for the second day, which is usually the most active day, and where we get to see a lot of the cosplayers and people actually bring their stuff. But we'll see how it goes.
It's always a fun day when you get to go to the con.
No.
So we're gonna rifle through all these things that we're gonna talk about today. We have a couple of episodes of Ahsoka to get through. It's for my initial reactions, and I'm coming from I never watched Rebels, and I never watched Clone Wars, but I know Ahsoka. I know a bit about that. And the third, fourth episode, this is kind of really deep dive into if you didn't watch Rebels or if you didn't watch Clone Wars, you're maybe a little bit lost, or you're not really picking up on all of the implications of the story. We know that the end game really is for the let's say the bad guys, for any lack of a term. They're trying to release Thrawn from a distant galaxy, while the heroes are also trying to release Ezra Bridger. Where they're in the same spot, and the way they're getting there is interesting, and especially episode 4, which ends on a cliffhanger, or a big reveal, right? So that's going to make everybody tune into episode 5, I think. But Lucas, you're the one that's watched Rebels and everything. Tell me what you think.
So that was the episode that I've been waiting for, right? At least the last one, episode 4. And with spoiler, right? If you go to Rebels, season 5, there's a whole big deal where Darth Vader and Ahsoka, they actually die inside one of the Sith temples, which has been to me okay, if she dies inside the Sith temple, how is she here now doing all this other stuff? Right? Well, when at some point Ezra Bridger, he goes back, and he gets transported through the portals to this weird dimension. And while he's in this dimension, he's actually able to go to the point where Ahsoka and Darth Vader die. Right? So for me, this has been a complete hope. But you were like, okay, well, now that I'm here, I can just bring Ahsoka back, and then she'll be alive. And Ahsoka's like, no, you got to leave me here because I'm already dead. And so that's why this whole season has been confusing to me. It's like, okay, she's supposed to be dead. What's going on? Well, that is addressed in that last episode, because during the whole thing, she does go to that same dimension that Ezra was at. But instead of Darth Vader, now it's Anakin. So that's a little bit more confusion. There's a little bit more questions that are happening right now. So that's why I say, hey, definitely people should at least watch that last episode, that last season of Rebels to understand what's going on. The other thing, the other thing, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I have the answer to the Anakin question, because this is set after Return of the Jedi, not set during the Clone Wars. So therefore, Anakin's been redeemed from the Return of the Jedi Special Edition, where his Force Ghost is now not old man Anakin, it's young man Anakin. So that's why Anakin appears and not Darth.
Right, but he's dead, right? He's dead.
He's Force
right.
Ghost, man.
Right. So then the question becomes: if you die in one of these little portals, right? Can you be brought back by just going through this dimension? And again, don't forget, I think we talked about it in the last time. There's the whole thing about the mother, the father, and the son, and that's the dimension of kind of where they live. And they're kind of, it looks like they're kind of slowly, they're trying to bring it through. They're trying to refer people back to the whole Rebels deal, and they're trying to get people to understand that what's going on. So the other great thing, but
so that means you could bring back Kanan,
everybody,
Yoda, Luke, Ben.
Yes.
Oh, see, man.
Yes.
If that happens, I'm out.
They won't do that, right? I mean, they just don't have the.
They've already done it. Nope, they've already done it. Right? Just the fact that Ahsoka is running around right now means that they can bring back anybody they want because they had the power to. Now, that's basically the whole driving thing of this whole thing right now, right? Because that's why this whole hyperdrive thing is a whole big deal. Because the hyperdrive basically is like its own collapsible black hole, and quantum physics theory is that after you get to the end of the black hole, at the end of that is a dimension, or maybe you could actually travel back in time and then grab whatever's in there and then grab them out. Just like basically in Endgame, which is what they did. They went back in time. They actually went the whole Eisen-Rosen bridge thing that Tony solved. That's basically a black hole, and at the end of that black hole is another dimension where they can go and grab the other thing. So that's the big thing that Marvel and Disney are connecting, or Star Wars are connecting right now.
Well, here's hoping they don't reach in and pull out Iron Man or something like that.
Well, so here's where it gets interesting, right? Episode 3, which is where they crashed on that planet. They found those big whales, the Purgle, right? The Purgle are like these big whale sharks that travel through space and time and everything. The only thing that they need is they need the fuel to actually help them get there, right? So that was a whole big thing. Rebels, they were crashing into pirates and crashing into galactic Republic police and everything, and just killing them because what they needed the feed and the fuel so they could go through hyperspace and do their own little thing. So now that they've introduced this whole space shark thing and made sure that it's a solid thing, now we get to, hey, what other space sharks do we know inside the Marvel Universe? Jeff the Shark, man. Jeff the Shark. Now we know why he's by himself. And we know that Marvel's been trying to move to that because they've brought, in the last couple of years, they brought up a few things. There's been the space sharks with Thor, Hulk has seen some space sharks, and then of course Jeff the Shark had his own thing before nobody was reading it, and then they just canceled that whole thing. So it's a weird thing that they're moving to, and I kind of like it. I kind of like it now that it looks like there is a direction other than Ezra, who was not my favorite one. My favorite character, but like you said, the interesting thing is they can bring back everyone. They can even bring back Kanan, which was a big deal. Bring back all these guys.
If it is going to be Star Wars bumps into the Marvel Universe that way, I swear to God, I'll leave. I will absolutely. I cannot stand this idea. This is absolutely big. I hope you've been smoking something to come up with this, Lucas.
Unfortunately, I have not. If you go, that's why I say if you watch Rebels, you can see that this is the direction where they're going. There was some confusion from me, like, okay, wait, she is supposed to be dead, yet she's running around doing this, that, and the other things. But how do they bring her back? And now they're explaining that, hey, they recognize that whole Rosenbridge thing was a thing, and they're going to go all out with it.
I remember them bringing it back in Rebels, but
right. So and so the whole thing with the whole big ring, I forgot what you call it, the hyperspace ring. they're not going to. It's not like, hey, they're going to a specific planet. They're going to a whole different dimension to grab Thrawn. That's where they're going with this. So that's going to be the other interesting piece about this.
Well, I'll just see if they're gonna tie in, Saturday Night Live's Land Shark skit, and we'll do Sharknado. We'll get sci-fi over there. Sharknado one.
Can I bring my shark repellent bat spray?
We go, yeah, do it. You're gonna need it, I think, in the coming Star Wars universe. All right, that has really gone off the rails, and I really, really hope that they don't bring sharks into this, and I hope that we don't see anything like that. But hey, the thing that I'm going to say about this about Ahsoka is the same thing that I've been saying about the last several Star Wars shows. The CGI is really lacking, and they really, really messed up Hayden Christensen's face. It looked like a Snapchat filter that they were using for him at the end of that episode, right? I was just like, what the heck? Can't they just, I would suspend my disbelief and say, hey, Anakin looks like he's 40 years old now, because he really is.
Well, he's supposed to be. That's the thing. That would make the Force Ghost in Return of the Jedi a bit more palpable, because the fact is Jedi occurs, so far after his initial turn to the dark side.
Here's an even more interesting thing. You pointed out that this is supposed to be the Anakin after the whole big battle and big war and everything. But when you see him as a Force spirit, he actually had the Jedi robes on. In this one, where he's in Rosenstein Bridge, he actually has his whole get up before he actually went bad and everything. So this doesn't mean that he's a good guy. He is the guy that was turning into Vader right before all that.
Oh, so
now we got to.
Right. I know we're all focused on episode 4 of the show, but before we get into that, can I just say episode 3? I didn't realize I was watching Top Gun. It's like tuned on, switched it on, and it was like 40 minutes of space fights. I was like, he went like that, he went like that, he went, where'd Hugo? You went, where'd Hugo? Honestly, I was like, any minute now someone's going to watch out for a canopy. It was. My wife is saying that this is a slow burn show, and to be honest, I kind of agree with her. I'm still not overly convinced by Rosario Dawson's portrayal of Ahsoka. If it is a muted version of Ahsoka because she got pulled back from the Force when she should have stayed in the Force, then fair enough. I suppose that explains it a little bit. And the whole idea of Sabine trying to be a Jedi when there's no idea of Force in her in any shape, way, or form just makes me laugh so much. It's like I might as well be a Jedi.
Well, I think they're even joking about that in episode 4 when she tries to do something to the other evil lord, and she says, you have no power, and I was like, okay, that's kind of sounds about right.
And you got to remember, the reason why she might be overcorrecting and muting herself is because the last person that you saw that was using their emotion as power was her master, and so she might be trying to overcorrect and not go down that freaking path and just try to mute all of her, all of her emotions, so she can tap into the good side of it. That's my theory.
I mean, I was talking to someone, and I can't remember who, but it's like Ahsoka's not even a Jedi. She left the. Oh, it was an OTP. I was speaking to one of my guests, and they're saying that no way should Ahsoka have a Padawan. Ahsoka left the Jedi's temple. She left the Jedi teaching, and when she was offered it to come back, she told them to stuff it. So right. Ahsoka isn't a Jedi, so therefore she doesn't need a Padawan. She can go about her business, do whatever she wants to do, and that's fine. But to say that she's following the Jedi code is just ridiculous. And as for the Sith Lords that's in there, it's Superman syndrome. Have you noticed? It's like you are the last of the Jedi, you are the last Kryptonian, apart from that bunch of people over there.
Yeah,
and you're like, what?
And the next bunch of people we need for the next movie.
Yeah. Krypton exploded. You are the sole survivor, apart from your dog, your cousin, and your dad's
Yeah.
best friend. Yeah,
There's
yeah,
there's
woo!
literally 50 Kryptonians running around the DC universe right now. 50.
Exactly. It's
And it's like,
crazy. Or some crazy cyborg that wants to kill you. So it's like, so you were the last of the Jedi, said Yoda, and it's like, is he though? Was Luke the last of the Jedi? You got to think, and the question that burns in Ahsoka all this time has to be, and it's not just for Ahsoka the character itself. Where were everybody in the big fight? You would have thought Hera would be part of the squad taking on the Death Star, the second Death Star. Nope. You would have thought that Ahsoka would be kicking up to rouse some Imperials. Nope. They're off doing their own thing. You see them at the start in Rebels as part of the Rebel Alliance. Then you never hear from them again for the first New Hope, Empire, and Jedi. They're not even retconned in there. And now we're supposed to believe that Hera's some sort of war hero. She didn't even turn up for the war. What's she banging on about?
Unless they come up with later on some kind of thing that they were doing in that timeline, which we don't know.
If they do that, that's fine. But I swear to God, if they go time travel, I'll be very annoyed. Because it's Star Wars, not Doctor Who.
Oh boy, here we go. All right, so we're going to continue on the Star Wars talk, and we're going to review our first book of the week. And we don't talk about Star Wars the comic that much, but there's a kind of an event going on in the books right now. It's a couple of month crossover going on. This is called Star Wars Dark Droids. And this is the second issue that we're talking about. So the story's already pretty much in full swing. And this is going to be written by Charles Soule. Hold on, let me get the rest of
art by Luke Ross, colors by Alex
Luke
Sinclair.
Ross. Yes, Alex Sinclair at colors and VC's Travis Lanham on letters. And if you hate it, we're going to blame Mikey Basso, Mark Panacea, and Robert Simpson. Those are your editors.
You three are on my list because this is a pilot.
we might disagree on that because I actually thought this was an interesting take. The droids in Star Wars, the droids have always been just kind of there, right? I mean, with the exception of the Han Solo movie, where they had the AI kind of the rebellion. This is kind of that jacked up to like 10. We have the previous story is Lady Kira from Crimson Dawn was trying to get this device where it was the Sith was the connection to the Force, and she ended up mistakenly releasing would you call it a malevolent AI from the device that started taking over the droids in the galaxy. And so this is a continuation of that, where you kind of realize that this droid or this intelligence, they really haven't given it a name, but they kind of do. I think
it's. Yeah, so what's happening is during the High Republic, there was this thing that was just like moving out throughout the universe and just killing civilizations left and right. The Jedi were trying to battle it, but some of them were actually taken over. The Sith were also trying to, battle it, and they were just losing left and right, which is where the Emperor, the current Emperor Palpatine, he got the idea that, hey, maybe everybody just needs to die, or there needs to be some way that everybody can die. You can bring them back some type of way. But the only way, of course, is going to have to kill everybody, put their power and force into like one thing or a few things, and you just got to have a way to clone it back. But that was the thing. That was the thing that was coming off everybody was called the Derringer, and it was also called Scourge as well. But now everybody that's live during this time, they don't even know that this was a thing. They're just like, whatever. The Derringer apparently killed us, somehow died. They never solved that. But now it's transported itself into a thing which is now infecting these droids. It's become sentient and knows what it wants to do. And instead of going through living things, it's trying to spread itself out through these robots because it recognizes that the thing that's controlling the universe right now and fixing everything is these droids and robots and everything. So um, that's the storyline that we're at right now. And it's even more amazing when you consider what we're watching inside of Ahsoka right now, right? Because every time I see a droid right now, I'm kind of suspecting like what's going on with it because these droids have been doing some shady stuff and saying some shady things to everybody.
Well, just to be on get back on the book here. So there's two factions, right? So you have this malevolent AI that's spreading across the galaxy, trying to take over all these droids. The motivation for this character really is he wants to make that jump to human, or he calls it meat. He needs the meat. He needs to eat, and so when he discovers that there are cyborgs, so half robot, half human, he says, oh, that's where I need to be. And so now he's set his sights on Vader. And he's already taken over C-3PO, which is an interesting tour in this book. He throws R2-D2 in the airlock and ejects him out into space, and who knows where R2-D2 ends up next month. But the other faction in this book is you want to call it almost like a religious cult with the droids, led by a droid named Ajax Sigma, and this is more like almost a benevolent, like they just kind of want to be accepted and want to do their own thing. I liked this book. I know Johnny's probably going to have something to say about it, but
several things.
I liked it because it's kind of made me think about what's going on with AI now, right? And what could possibly come, and it could go either way, right? It could be good or it could be bad, and this is trying to show you both sides of the coin. And I actually like this book. I don't know how it's playing over in the different crossovers and everything because I haven't read those. But I like this book for what it was. But Johnny, why don't you tell me what you thought?
Well, I'm just looking through this book now, and I'm kind of there's a couple of things that I wanted to say about it in the first place. What's going on with R2 here? Because is the idea here that he's been dented there? Because there's no dent on that picture, and yet there's a dent on that picture, but not on the other one. Has 3PO damaged in him somewhere? And if that's the case, he didn't really dent so easy in Star Wars where he gets clobbered all over the place. That's one thing. The dialogue killed me. At no point does 3PO talk to Luke as Master Skywalker. It's Master Luke.
Mm-hmm.
That's out. And then halfway through this conversation, Luke calls 3PO pal. What?
I noticed that too.
It's like, what? Who is this character, and what are you having him say? Because to me, that's not Luke Skywalker. I mean, yeah, it looks like a Luke Skywalker. And then he tells it's like, oh, and this exposition, oh yeah, I'm not an expert on the Force, but and then he says the same thing that Ben Kenobi said to him, and that's it, really. This is, of course, after. This is set after Empire, or is it set before?
It's
Empire?
in between Empire and Jedi.
All right. So at which point he's already had his training through Yoda, so you would have thought he'd know a little bit more about it then, but still. And this whole idea of a malevolent AI. And who'd have thought that the Star Wars droids had Wi-Fi? If that was the case, you could have just programmed them at the start of Star Wars, New Hope, do this, stormtroopers can't shoot for shit, and then the story's over. Who'd have thunk Wi-Fi? I tell you what, no wonder they didn't want to blow up the Death Star. Just to think of all the Wi-Fi antennas that went on that big boy. Yeah. No, this is a hard pass for me. And the crux of it is this: when you do a media tie-in book like Star Wars or Transformers or Star Trek or whichever one it is you're using, then you can't do anything with the main cast crew. So you've got to do something else with other people. And you've got to get the reader to care about it. And the droid religious leader, I just don't care about it. So therefore, why am I reading this? Because nothing else is going to happen. So there you go. Sorry.
Well, I think the reason why they definitely did this is because all in the Reddit, people have been asking for this type of stuff. They've been asking for like the black current stand. They've been asking for like the bad dark Wookiees. They actually asked for a stiff Wookiee, and a stiff, stiff type of droid. So that's just how they're going about it is kind of wonky. But I think I see the path of where they're going to go. But it's definitely something that people have been asking for. It's just that, like you said, the writing is a little wonky, and I don't think people are going to love this story anyway.
All right, so I think we're all over the board on opinions on this book. So,
Oh yes.
Well, I mean, I love the path. I love what the direction that they're going with this, and I love how there's definite implication for projects that Star Wars and Lucasfilm has going forward. It's just that so far the writing and that's so the art, it's not going to endear this book to anybody right now.
I just like that they're trying to tell interesting stories set in that time frame, and I know eventually, I kind of thought eventually they were going to make that leap to be post Jedi and start telling stories post Jedi, which I thought they were going to do with the 40th anniversary of Jedi books coming out. I thought they were going to make that leap because that's what they did with 40th anniversary of Empire, right? They came out with a bunch of Empire books and then made the leap from between Star Wars and Empire to between Empire and Jedi. But
Well, so yeah, right now they've got several problems. Okay? Number one, there was the High Republic, which hasn't been that popular, but it did give a pass going for after for post Jedi. The other thing is that right now with a lot of the books breaking off from Marvel and IDW, and they're decided, what, let's go ahead and go back to the Dark Horse in some of these books. And they said, oh yeah, by the way, remember how we said Dark Horse isn't canon anymore? Yeah, it's Dark Horse now again. So that little ambiguity in between all these projects and all this stuff that is going on is going to be definitely crazy for them to figure out how they're going to go. In the meantime, it was like 30% of the executives that were greenlighting Star Wars stuff has been fired. So, man, it's going to be a mess. And it's going to be interesting to see how they figure this out.
All right. So that's going to be it for our Star Wars talk today. So let's take a quick break and then
There's never enough Star Wars talk.
I know we don't. Yeah, it's never enough. All right, we'll get back and we'll get into the rest of our comic reviews. All right, make sure to check out the Definitive Crusade on alternate Tuesdays from No Price Podcast, starring that guy over there, Johnny the Machine. Yay! All about DC Comics.
Yeah. Nobody goes to the cinema anymore. There's no movie talk on that show.
No?
Hardly.
All right. Well, so let's jump into I guess we're gonna do a throwback. This is a last week release, but I think it deserves to be talked about a little bit. Ms.Marvel, the New Mutant. We've been talking about her quite a bit on the show the last couple of months because she died and then they had a funeral for her and now she's back all in the span of like 2 months. So Lucas, why don't you take us through the return of Kamala Khan?
So, the last time we left off, right, it was during the Hellfire Gala #1 or something like that, and it says, "Hey, uh, by the way, this happened 10 X weeks ago, which was 10 weeks ago." I looked back to see what they were talking about 10 weeks ago. That was when she was actually hired by Oscorp, and she was working on plasma generators, right? Um, well, yeah, she was working on plasma generator for Oscar, which is kind of interesting for this particular piece because when she's going off to this summer intern program, which is I don't understand why they're releasing a summer intern program thing at the end of August, but okay, y'all do it, right? So she goes to this summer intern program, and her best friend, future lover, husband, whatever, Bruno, is actually escorting her there, and he's there in the room, and then her new roommate comes into the room and goes, "Oh, hey, look at that! That looks like a plasma generator." Okay, we don't know what the heck that's supposed to mean or why we care and anything like that, but I have my suspicions from going to conversation. But and then after that, there's a whole big thing of Orcus is actually on campus. Um, she's actually going into the intern program to try and infiltrate Orcus even more um, on behalf of the X-Men. Something happens, she has to kick in the gear, and instead of staying covert, like a good little spy, she takes all her stuff off, breaks into her X-Men kicking gear, and then now she's got people against Ms.Marvel and saying, "Oh my God, the X-Men they're invading us and they're attacking us." Everything goes stupid decision. The interesting thing was actually her dreams, right? Like her dreams where she dreams like there's different versions of herself. The reason why that's interesting is because throughout the last, let's say, 4 or 5 years, there's been little snippets of her or different other pieces of her or these other characters, um, as different characters like Marvel, Loki, and I see a whole bunch of villain characters of her. And we know from, I think it was like the last volume of Ms.Marvel, is that these characters actually exist. And one of the biggest pieces of her parts that I find the most interesting in there is that there was a character, her name was Marvel G. And Marvel G's big thing is that she could uh, shift or shape her, right? And the other big piece is that when she's doing all this, that's not her power. She's grabbing into the power of one of the other characters, and then she makes it her power, and then she just does the thing. So basically, when she actually died, she was actually reaching into the powers of Marvel G. Marvel G kind of took her place, and then it was actually I think that Marvel G was the one that actually freaking died at that point. And then the other Miss Marvel, the real Kamala Khan, is still just like out there. We know for a fact that that happened because during the whole Karine storyline, they went to her doppelganger. That actually happens. Like Miss Marvel stays here, Miss Marvel goes off somewhere else, the other person comes back, and so it's a whole crazy thing. So for this whole thing, for them to do a callback and hey, by the way, there's a whole bunch of other Marvels that have different characters and everything. That's an actual thing. What's going to be interesting going forward is we don't know what's going to happen going forward with her. We don't know whether they're going to do the whole singularity thing because I or what her because she still hasn't had her mutant powers activated. I think that's also another interesting thing. They kept calling back to that because that's the reason why they had her actually go to the Orcus thing in the first place is because Orcus came from mutants. She hasn't had her mutant power activated yet, so that's the whole thing. But it's an interesting setup. They shouldn't have done the whole Orcus attack so soon, but I think I like the direction they're going with Miss Marvel, but I don't know. What did you guys think?
Johnny, what did you think of Ms. Marvel?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question. What did I think of Miss Marvel? What did I think of TV star writing a comic book again?
Yes, Mani Valahi or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's like I'm done with the whole thing. I'm kind of you know, I have such an affinity with the character. No, somebody wrote that for you to portray that on the screen. When you say you have an affinity with the character, it means you like the writing that somebody gave you in the show. It doesn't mean you know the character. Let's do the good things first. Hey, look! It's the original Miss Marvel costume. Woohoo!
Hey!
Yay! Yes! Bring back that bad boy. That is a great. Love that. The other thing, I didn't realize that we were having a DC crossover event this time around.
How about the other characters that look like Kamala Khan and Ms. Marvel?
I mean, that is Hawk Girl on the cover, right? Right there where my cursor is.
Yep. That's what it
Hawk Girl.
appears to be. Yep.
Yeah. Who'd have thunk? Don't tell me, because Hawk Girl's got resurrection powers because she's an Egyptian god, that she's now part of the mutants. Right. Other than that, oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm glad I'm on visuals today because I want to know about this. Where's it at? Where is it at? Let me just give me 2 seconds.
About where's Waldo?
Yeah, I would like to know how you can transition in the same conversation from this panel here in the dorm to being outside in the subway. How does that happen? Have I missed something? Is her new power teleportation, as well as disguising MJ Watson? She can now teleport. Oh, also as teleporting, she can now shrink down to Ant-Man size. Is there anything this character can't do? Oh my God, she's the most powerful character in the universe. Who needs the Marvel universe? Miss Marvel will save us all.
Cancel
the books, cancel everything. Miss Marvel's the only one. She can take on Doomsday. She can take on. She can take on Sinister. She can take on Kryptonians. She can take on all the other X-Men. She's got all the powers in the world because some TV actress thinks she can write a story. Forget it. If you like Miss Marvel, fine, that's your bag. I don't like the script. I don't like the dialogue. I don't need things pointing out to me in A, B, C, hashtag this equals that. I'm an adult. I can read. There you go. That's my shout.
She's I think she's the ultimate cosplayer's dream hero because she's an X-Man, she's an Avenger, she's a champion, she's a mutant, she's an Inhuman. What isn't she? She's everything, right? She's
bullshit. She's what she is.
Well,
pardon my French.
She's one of those characters that it's I don't want to. I hate to liken her to Spider-Man, where Spider-Man identifies with everybody because it can be anybody under the mask. Ms. Marvel is trying to identify with all the fans out there that maybe think that they could be her because she can be anybody. They just showed her in that you showed that panel earlier where it was all the alternate version realities of her with every different hero. That's cosplay, right? I mean, that's dressing up and pretending to be someone else. That's if we look at Iman Vellani, I know this is her first comic book, but there's a ton of stuff out there with her in her beginnings of cosplay and dressing up as Ms. Marvel when she was, or Captain Marvel when she was a kid, and all that stuff. And I like that about her. And I loved the Disney Plus show because of her. I think she's great as an actress. I thought she was great in that show. I think she's going to be great in the Marvels show. But yeah, this does smack of kind of like striking while the iron is hot and kind of letting her do what she wants to do. I have no, I don't believe for a second she wrote this. I think that she was, maybe she was in a plotting meeting, or give the credit where the credit is due, because we didn't go through the.
Oh, sorry. I've got that to hand. Give me 2 seconds.
So
this is Iman Vellani and Xavier Posada. That's what I'm going with. And the writers Carlos Gomez with Adam Gorham as artist, Eric Archiniga as colorist, and VC's Joe Caramanga is the letters. If you want to blame somebody, blame Disney for trying to make a book.
Well, so that's, I'm convinced, Sabir Pizzato is the one that wrote this, and then probably had a phone conversation with Iman Vellani about, hey, so how do you see this character, and maybe kind of portrayed the way Iman thought that the character would act in a certain scene, and then let's put her name on it. So hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm sure she's not writing the script, so.
I
But
hurt my head when I slapped it there. I just want to let you know that I am feeling the pain right now.
I mean, she may have written the outline, but the actual words that the script that she may not probably didn't write.
Yeah, I've seen enough about Iman Vellani that she's probably I'm just happy to be here kind of things. Happy to put my name on this. Happy to kind of push Ms. Marvel in a different direction. So I'm not sure how I feel about her becoming a mutant, even though that was revealed in the show, and they're trying to just kind of reflect that on Disney Plus. This just makes me totally scared for the revelation of mutants in the MCU, because I'm pretty sure they're going to be more like this and not like the Claremont X-Men that I want. So yeah, there we go.
Just as a reminder, what I was trying to say is there is a type of version of every single type of character out there. Right? So there's a Ms. Marvel Black Bolt, there's a Ms. Marvel Cyclops, there's everything that's out there. So it's not like it's and all of a sudden that was written particularly for this book or for this particular year. They've been ramping up to this for quite a while.
Yeah.
So, like it or don't like it, if you do like it, they'll stay with her as the mutant right now. If not, then they'll just move on, and maybe they'll depower, or we'll see a Ms. Marvel Spider-Man next year. Who knows?
No, next year she'll be a Shi'ar, and
she'll be a Shi'ar and a Kree and a Skrull.
There we go. Maybe she'll, it's more likely she'll be a Skrull, because we've already got Skrulls in the MCU, and that'll be a surprise. She's a Skrull. She's not a mutant. No.
Well, that'll explain her ability to change into Mary Jane in the God Awful Amazing Spider-Man. Before we move on to the next book, can we all agree that Amazing Spider-Man has tanked over the last few issues?
Yeah, I 100%.
You have to remind me of what it was even about. I'm trying to remember. I just remember the covers and if it doesn't have to do with Spider Boy or her dying, and Marvel dying, I don't remember.
No, it's just been terrible. You're not missing anything if you're not reading it.
Well, what was the last story line about? We were on number 32,
Peter Parker
right?
took the Sin Spear to the chest and became a villain. So the latest issue of Spider-Man had him totally destroying Kraven, and then digging a 6 foot hole and putting Kraven in a coffin, and then throwing a rifle at him and saying, "This is if you want to skip to the end." And I'm telling you, I have never wanted to skip to the end more than Zeb Wells' run. Just skip to the end.
It's killing, man. It's not in a good way either. All right. Okay. Sorry to digress.
Yeah, no problem at all. That was a quick little, I guess, crusher to the Amazing Spider-Man run. But we have been talking about Spider-Man for a long time on this show, and we've seen the trajectory go like that, right? So we started with high hopes, and now we're just praying for the end. All right, so let's go to our next review. Johnny, this is your pick. You picked X-Men. 26.
So this is written by Jerry Duggan?
Jerry Duggan,
Yeah, Duggan, sorry. Jim Towie, I'd say probably. Javier Pineda is on art. Marty Gracia is on colours, and VC's Clayton Cowles is on letters. Now, I was in my local comic book shop, shout out to Darl Knight, last weekend, and I we're just talking, shooting the breeze with Steve, the guy that runs the show. And he was like, "Oh, have you read X-Men 26?" I was like, "No, not yet. I haven't seen it yet." He goes, "Oh, there's nothing that happens in this book. It's supposed to be the wedding issue, and nothing happens." And I was like, "He's just jaded. He's got to be jaded. There's got to be something going on in this book."
Nope.
Nope, not a thing. Well, I digress. There is stuff going on, and we will go through it. It's basically Emma Frost hiding in plain sight, escaping the massacre, hanging out with Kingpin as a means to try and get back some power base to her. Kingpin's now the White King of the Hellfire Club. Tony Stark's the Black King, and Stark knows that Emma's hiding in plain sight. I will say this: isn't Stark such a pretty boy now? Check out those cheekbones.
He's anorexic.
Is he really?
No, I mean, look at
when
him.
you stop, when you stop drinking, you do start to lose a little bit of weight.
He's got cancer and he's wearing a wig.
Are these real story points, or are you just taking the Mickey?
I'm
taking the joke.
Yeah, I'm joking.
I was going to say, because I'm not reading Iron Man. So
I don't know why he looks like that. I don't know why.
We get another Ms.Marvel appearance. Ray, she's everywhere. You don't need any other characters. You get Shadowcat, who is turning into such a badass. Get some Firestorm action. Firestar, sorry, not Firestorm. And then you have the big reveal at the end, the proposal, which is absolutely ludicrous.
I have an issue. Can you turn back a few pages?
Yeah, sorry.
To the Firestar.
Hang on. I can. I can eventually.
Do you know what my problem with Firestar is?
Is it short hair?
No.
Is it
I don't have a problem with the short hair.
Is it the Ms.Marvel costume she's wearing?
How are Firestar's powers based?
Are they, I don't know, oxygen based?
Well, no. The heat comes from microwaves, not from flame.
Oh, okay.
So turn back to the page where she's flamed on, pretty much.
That one?
Yeah, she's on fire. She's not on fire. Her powers are microwave based, not flame. Any other appearance? If you see Spider-Man and the Amazing Friends, she never did flames, and that was where she first appeared. And then any other X-Men appearance or when she was on the Avengers or the New Warriors, it was always, it was always heat based, but no flames. She never was on fire. She was never in flames. This is especially that page. I mean, nice art, but hey, it's not the way her powers work.
Yeah. The proposal, such as it is absolutely ludicrous. The idea that they've just been caught in a broom cupboard and he's trying to put the ring on to make sure she doesn't give up her identity is just ridiculous. It's like we're building up to this big mini event that's coming in the Marvel Universe. It's all based on the don't take the ring off that hides that you're mutant. It's like, I thought there'd be some ramifications to this, or at least some logic, and it isn't. The other thing I'd say about Firestar is I've just mentioned there what a pretty boy that young Tony Stark is. Hey, look, there's Tony Stark again, but without a beard, right there.
Oh, hey, look at those cheekbones. You can tell because of the cheekbones.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, it's like, come on, really? I don't think. I thought the X-Men were going to get better once we lost Krakoa. But now, instead of getting Krakoa and Sinister running around the place, we have Shadowcat and Ms.Marvel running around the place, and nothing. We're still in a sense of vogue about what's going on. Nothing's going to get resolved till Jean Grey comes back and the fine Cyclops. Other than that, this is just treading water. And I can't believe, after all the fuss and kerfuffle of House of X and Power of X, that we're now back into a holding pattern, which we were at before when Marvel pretty much annexed the X-Men because Fox had the film rights. Holding pattern.
You have a good point, because every time I read the X-Men, I always think that I'm reading this because it's building up to something. and it never ever pays off. It's always like when something happens, even with the Hellfire Gala, it was like it's just setting up the next thing. There's no
conclusion.
ending. Yeah, there's no conclusion. There's no solution to anything. It's just the next thing, and that's what I feel like we're on to the next thing. And there's no, I like the fact that they called a million mutants. So now I guess we have a smaller cast of characters to play with, less characters for me to keep track of. But I still can't keep track of the ones that we got.
So does this mean we're gonna have fewer books?
Yeah,
no, we're actually having more books because now we have Wolverine teaming up with Ghost Rider. We have Ms.Marvel in the crowd. We have Spider-Man somehow mixed up in all this stuff, and it seems to me like they're trying to get the X-Men more back in sync with the Marvel universe because, I don't know why, because they've always traditionally been on an island, so to speak. They've always been kind of off doing their own thing and maybe very rarely mingle with the Marvel universe, with the exception of Wolverine. So I have no problem with them kind of being in their own universe on Earth, but trying to do all this, I don't know where Shadowcat came from. Apparently she's snapped and she's become Liam Neeson from Taken, and now she's an assassin, more of an assassin than she used to be.
Well, I to be honest, I didn't mind. That was probably the bit I didn't mind. We forget that Kitty has ninja powers from when she went to Japan with Wolverine way back when.
Yeah, but she's never been a killer like she is in this. She's more like Wolverine in this.
Well, that's what happens when things, when you get. What I don't understand is how last time I saw Kitty is she wasn't allowed on Krakoa, so how can she use the Krakoan arc to get around places?
I think they resolved that. I think when they resurrected her, I think she died and she came back and then she was able to do that. It was weird. I remember when they revealed that she couldn't go through the thing. I was like, oh, is she not a mutant? Are they going to come out and say she's not a mutant? And they never did. So
there you go.
Interesting. But that my one big criticism is the Firestar. But I mean, other than the whole story, if we want to get away from the story, Tony Stark and Emma Frost is that's like a match made in where that would never happen in ever. I just don't get it.
No, I don't. And I do know what really knocks is that it actually spoils a decent little romance for Kingpin and Typhoid Mary, because I quite like those two together. I thought that was canny. That was decent.
Yeah, and they killed off Typhoid Mary? Is that
well she's
what it looks like?
Yeah, it looks like. But she's gone through the gate. I don't know whether or not where she is, but that whole scene in the Daredevil book where he uses the Purple Man's power to help her remember who she is.
Yes.
Absolutely breathtaking. What a great piece of writing that was. And and now we're stuck with this sort of stuff. And then I know the different writers, but I mean, Zdarsky, some of his stuff recently has been a bit ropey on DC side at least. I didn't realize Daredevil had cancelled. It's been cancelled the last episode. The last issue, I have no idea what the last run of Daredevil was all about. I have all the issues. I read them cover to cover.
Yeah, you didn't miss much.
And at the end of it, I'm like, what? So now he's...
Yeah. It fizzled, much like a lot of the end runs of certain writers. They fizzle because they don't know how to end it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's more common now than it's ever been. Not that I'm calling out anybody in particular, Scott Snyder.
Well, I'll see. I hope you're not meeting any of these people today, Lucas.
I think a bunch of them canceled. The only one that's like a really big name is Philip Johnson Kennedy. I think he's going to be there. He's the writer for Aliens. He's going to be there, but none of these other guys.
And Superman, he's done a lot of Superman work on DC as well.
Oh, okay.
I know Howard Mackey's down there today. Say hello to him for me.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely.
So, all right. So due to the fact that Lucas is on location, there's no 2-minute warning today because we don't have the books coming up, right? So hey,
Hey,
brothers
there's a
of,
finish for everyone. Yay!
The only book that people need to concentrate on is that Ji Hung Lee amazing. Oh, excuse me, the Spider-Gwen annual #1 from last week. That's still a hot book. It's gathering $180 per pop right now.
why is that?
Because it's just a beautiful cover. That's the ballerina shoes cover, which is putting on her shoes. That's the big cover right now. People don't have enough money for it, but that's where we're at right now.
All right. Well, so thank you both for joining me. I know this is week 1 of the NFL, so all our teams are going tomorrow. So I think Lucas and I's teams are going head to head in game 1 tomorrow afternoon at 4:00.
Yes,
Philly
sir.
versus Patriots.
Patriots versus Philly tomorrow.
All right.
I think there might be a little bit of an upset going on. We should see.
Hey,
Really?
any given Sunday, right? Any given Sunday, we've already had Detroit. We can knock out the champions in week 1. It's surprising.
You honestly think the Patriots are going to get past the Eagles?
It's
Don't
week
forget
1.
that
Hope springs eternal.
Yeah,
Everybody
don't forget
thinks
that they
our
lost
will be
their.
champions.
Yeah, don't forget they lost their offensive and defensive coordinators. The Eagles did, so who knows what'll happen.
Well, we actually have an offensive coordinator this season, so that's great. Not 2 defensive coordinators as an offensive coordinator. So, all right. So I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about next week when our teams are 0-2. Well, so no. What between Lucas and I, someone's going to be 1-1, right? So. Johnny, the Dolphins will be 2-0. Yes, I get it. Dolphins are going to be 2-0. All right, so thank you very much, and I hope everybody has a good couple of weeks, and we will see you in a fortnight. Stay safe.
Adios.